Kundalini Yoga. The yogin who works for liberation does so through Kundalini Yoga, which gives both enjoyment and liberation. At every center to which he rouses Kundalini, he experiences special form of bliss and gains special powers. Carrying her to Shiva at his cerebral center, he enjoys the supreme bliss which in its nature is that of liberation, and which when established in permanence is liberation itself on the loosening of spirit and body. Energy, Shakti, polarizes itself into two forms, namely, static or potential, Kundalini, dynamic, the working forces of the body as prana. Behind all activity there is a static background. This static center in the human body is the center serpent power in the muladhara, root support. This static Shakti is affected by pranayama and other yogic processes and becomes dynamic. Thus, when completely dynamic, that is when Kundalini unites with Shiva in the Sahasrara, the polarization of the body gives way. The two poles are united in one, and there is a state of consciousness called Samadhi. The polarization, of course, takes place in consciousness. The body actually continues to exist as an object of observation to others. It continues its organic life. But man's consciousness of his body and all other objects is withdrawn because the mind has ceased so far as his consciousness is concerned, the function having been withdrawn into its ground, which is consciousness. When awakened, Kundalini Shakti ceases to be a static power which sustains the world consciousness, the content of which is held only so long as she sleeps. And when once set in movement, Kundalini is drawing to that other static center in the thousand-petaled lotus, Sahasrara, to attain union with the Shiva consciousness, or the consciousness of ecstasy beyond the world of forms. When Kundalini sleeps, man is awake to this world. When she wakes, he sleeps, I loses all consciousness of the world and enters the causal body. In yoga, he passes beyond to formless consciousness. Pranayama for awakening Kundalini. When you practice the following: concentrate on the muladhara chakra at the base of the spinal column, which is triangular in form and which is the seat of the Kundalini Shakti. Close the right nostril with your right thumb. Inhale through the left nostril till you count 3 ohms slowly. Imagine that you are drawing the prana with the atmospheric air. Then close the left nostril with your little and ring fingers of the right hand. Then retain the breath for 12 ohms. Send the current down the spinal column straight into the triangular lotus, the muladhara chakra. Imagine that the nerve current is striking against the lotus and awakening the Kundalini. Then slowly exhale through the right nostril, counting 6 ohms. Repeat the process from the right nostril as stated above, using the same units and having the same imagination and feeling. This pranayama will awaken the Kundalini quickly. Do it 3 times in the morning and 3 times in the evening. Increase the number and time gradually and cautiously according to your strength and capacity. In this pranayama, concentration on the muladhara chakra is the important thing. Kundalini will be awakened quickly if the degree of concentration is intense and if the pranayama is practiced regularly. Kundalini pranayama. In this pranayama, the bhavana is more important than the ratio between Puraka, Kumbhaka and Rechaka. Sit in Padma or Siddha asana facing the east or the north. After mentally prostrating to the lotus feet of the Satguru and reciting stotras in praise of God and Guru, commence doing this pranayama, which will easily lead to the awakening of the Kundalini. Inhale deeply without making any sound. As you inhale, feel that the Kundalini lying dormant in the muladhara chakra is awakened and is going up from chakra to chakra. At the conclusion of the Puraka, have the bhavana that the Kundalini has reached the Sahasrara. The more vivid the visualization of chakra after chakra, the more rapid will be your progress in this sadhana. Retain the breath for a short while. Repeat the pranav or your Ishta mantra. Concentrate on the Sahasrara chakra. Feel that by the grace of Mother Kundalini, the darkness of ignorance enveloping your soul has been dispelled. Feel that your whole being is pervaded by light, power and wisdom. Slowly exhale now. And, as you exhale, feel that the Kundalini Shakti is gradually descending from the Sahasrara and from chakra to the Muladhara chakra. Now begin the process again. It is impossible to extol this wonderful pranayama adequately. It is the magic wand for attaining perfection very quickly. Even a few days' practice will convince you of its remarkable glory. Start from today, this very moment. May God bless you with joy, bliss and immortality. Lambika Yoga. Practice of Khetri Mudra is Lambika Yoga. The technique of the mudra is explained below. He who practices this mudra will have neither hunger nor thirst. He can walk in the sky. This yoga is beset with difficulties. This is a very difficult yoga. It has to be learnt under a developed yogi guru who has practiced this yoga for a long time and attained full success. It is kept secret by yogis. It confers great siddhis or powers. It is a great help to control the mind. He who has attained success in this mudra will have neither hunger nor thirst. He can control his prana quite easily. Khetri Mudra, Yoni Mudra or Shanmukhi Mudra, Sambhavinchi Mudra, Aswini Mudra, Mahamudra and Yoga Mudra are the important mudras. Among these mudras, Khetri Mudra is the foremost. It is the king of the mudras. Mudra means a seal. It puts a seal to the mind and prana. Mind and prana come under the control of a yogi. Khetri Mudra consists of two important kriyas viz, Chedan and Dohan. The lower part of the front portion of the tongue, the frenum lingua, is cut to the extent of a hair's breadth with a sharp knife once in a week. Afterwards powder of turmeric is dusted over it. This is continued for some months. This is Chedan. Afterwards the yogic student applies butter to the tongue and lengthens it daily. He draws the tongue in such a way that it is similar to the process of milking the udder of a cow. This is Dohan. When the tongue is sufficiently long, it should touch the tip of the nose. The student folds it, takes it back, and closes the posterior portion of the nostrils. Now he sits and meditates. The breath stops completely. For some the cutting and the lengthening of the tongue is not necessary. They are born with a long tongue. He who has attained perfection in this mudra becomes a walker in the sky. Queen Chudla had this siddhi or power. He who has purity and other divine virtues, who is free from desire, greed and lust, who is endowed with dispassion, discrimination and strong aspiration or longing for liberation will be benefited by the practice of this mudra. The mudra helps the yogi to get himself buried underneath the ground. Yoga, Yoga is a perfect practical system of self-culture. Yoga is an exact science. It aims at the harmonious development of the body, the mind and the soul. Yoga is the turning away of the senses from the objective universe and the concentration of the mind within. Yoga is eternal life in the soul or spirit. Yoga aims at controlling the mind and its modifications. The path of yoga is an inner path whose gateway is your heart. Yoga is the discipline of the mind, senses and physical body. Yoga helps in the coordination and control of the subtle forces within the body. Yoga brings in perfection, peace and everlasting happiness. Yoga can help you in your business and in your daily life. You can have calmness of mind at all times by the practice of yoga. You can have restful sleep. You can have increased energy, vigor, vitality, longevity and a high standard of health. Yoga transmutes animal nature into divine nature and raises you to the pinnacle of divine glory and splendor. The practice of yoga will help you to control the emotions and passions and will give you power to resist temptations and to remove the disturbing elements from the mind. It will enable you to keep a balanced mind always and remove fatigue. It will confer on you serenity, calmness and wonderful concentration. It will enable you to hold communion with the Lord and thus attain the summum bonum of existence. If you want to attain success in yoga, you will have to abandon all worldly enjoyments and practice tapas and brahmacharya. You will have to control the mind skillfully and tactfully. You will have to use judicious and intelligent methods to curb it. If you use force, it will become more turbulent and mischievous. It cannot be controlled by force. It will jump and drift away more and more. Those who attempt to control the mind by force are like those who endeavor to bind a furious elephant with a thin silken thread. A guru or preceptor is indispensable for the practice of yoga. The aspirant in the path of yoga should be humble, simple, gentle, refined, tolerant, merciful, and kind. If you have a curiosity to get psychic powers, you cannot have success in yoga. Yoga does not consist in sitting cross-legged for 6 hours or stopping the pulse, or beating of the heart, or getting oneself buried underneath the ground for a week or a month. Self-sufficiency, impertinence, pride, luxury, name, fame, self-assertive nature, obstinacy, idea of superiority, sensual desires, evil company, laziness, overeating, overwork, too much mixing and too much talking are some of the obstacles in the path of yoga. Admit your faults freely. When you are free from all these evil traits, samadhi or union will come by itself. Practice yam and niyama. Sit comfortably in padma or siddhasana. Restrain the breath. Withdraw the senses. Control the thoughts. Concentrate. Meditate and attain asamprajnata or nirvikalpa samadhi, union with the Supreme Self. May you shine as a brilliant yogi by the practice of yoga. May you enjoy the bliss of eternal